Hi, hello. I want to dive into something that has come up lately in the comments section that is long overdue for some airtime here on the channel. And that is diving into men's or masculine knitwear. Knitwear that was designed with a man or the masculine form in mind. We spend a lot of time here talking about sweaters that were designed with the female form or women in mind, women's knitwear. And I want to venture into men's knitwear because I receive comments about how folks would like to see me dive into those patterns, what's out there, because it is really difficult to pin down in the Ravelry search really great knitwear designed, intended for the masculine form and shown on a masculine form on a man. Okay, that is what we're going to do today. I want to dive into this because I think it's interesting. I think it's a lot of fun to dive into these patterns, not because they are only to be knit for men or masculine bodies, but because they're really awesome pieces of knitwear, and the form and fit of a men's sweater is very different than the form and fit of a woman's sweater, or for the female form and the shape and all of this. And personally myself, I really like the look of menswear on my body. I like the way that looks. When you wear things that are a little bit more masculine in nature, I really like to do that. I don't know if it's like an Annie Hall thing with me. La-di-da. I just really like that look. I don't know, whatever, I like it. And so I like men's sweaters just as much as I like women's sweaters. In fact, fun fact, whenever I go thrifting for sweaters, I oftentimes will head over to the men's section because I feel like you can buy some of the best thrifted sweaters in the men's section. Oh, just saying. So that's what I want to do today, is dive into this. I also want to let you know that if you enjoy this video, there is going to be a very deep dive into this using a ranking format that is even more, kind of more, I don't want to say sophisticated, but it's a little bit more thought out and structured than even my previous Ravelry Hot Right Now video. And that is going to be living over on the Patreon. It's going to be, I'm in the process of finalizing the edits right now. It is beefy. Lots of great information about using Ravelry patterns, about what to look for when hunting for menswear. And I rank some pattern pages based on what I'm able to see. If you decide to go over there and check it out, thank you so much for your support. I really think you're gonna love it, plus all the additional content over there as well. Okay, so for today's video, I wanna just do some window shopping, some browsing, and just we're gonna see what's available on Ravelry in terms of men's sweaters. And in order to do that, we have to filter out the results for men's sweaters shown on men and masculine forms, and that's tricky in and of itself. And so we'll get to that in just a minute. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and record my screen here so I can share with you what it is that I'm looking at. Let's hunt down men's sweaters and see what we can find. It's incredibly frustrating to filter for men's sweaters for somebody who is looking not only for a sweater a man could wear, because a man could wear any sweater, like a man could wear any of this stuff. There's no reason why a man can't wear anything you see right here, right now. It doesn't matter. You do what you want. But if we have a man or an individual that is looking for a sweater represented on a man or a masculine form, it's hard to do when you just go browsing Ravelry, because the vast majority of things that you see if you just open Ravelry are going to be shown, when we're in reference to sweaters, on women. You know, take a drink when you see a man. No one's getting drunk today, folks. I'll wait. Oh! Drink up. I rest my case. Okay, so that's the thing. That's the thing, is it's really hard to filter for that. So we're gonna try something here. We're first going to go to clothing, sweater, all sweaters. Okay, and then we are going to go down, has photo. We're going to focus on knitting. We're going to go to age, adult, and we are going to exclude. No, I don't want to exclude adult. We're going to exclude. I'm going to click on all of these here. Sometimes it's better to exclude and then narrow down the one that you're looking for, just like I just did there. We're excluding all of those other than adults. And then gender here, I'm going to exclude female and unisex, believe it or not. Because the thing that's frustrating here is that there are so many designers that are publishing patterns that, based on what they provide as their photos, I'm talking about what the designers provide as their photos, are intended for women, because there are no men present in any of their photos, despite them tagging their design as unisex. I feel like if you're going to tag a design as unisex, you absolutely need to show it as unisex, meaning show it on both man and woman, okay? Because those are distinct proportions that change between body type. And so I think that by excluding unisex, we're really kind of narrowing it down to sweaters that had a male form in mind when they were designed, so that in the results, we're not inundated with things that take that visual relatability away. So if I were to leave unisex and just exclude female, let's go up and look at what we have. Okay, go ahead, drink when you see a man. Because I excluded female, okay? Yeah, just, whenever you see one, just down the hatch. Oh, there's one. Knock it back. Okay? Two. Knock it back. So you see what I'm saying? So now we're going to go back up and we are going to exclude unisex and see if that changes what we have here. So we're going to go to gender again. We're going to exclude unisex as well. So we're excluding female and we're excluding unisex because we got to get rid of all those patterns that aren't showing any men, but yet are referring to themselves as unisex. Advanced. Watch this. Watch this. Okay. Not baby and not, this is how convoluted this is, and not, we're trying to exclude all of these things we don't want to see in our results. And not, here we go. No, we can do adult. I don't want, and not female, and not unisex, and adult, and male. Okay? Well, would you look at that? What do we see? I just think it's interesting. Share your thoughts. I don't know. That looks like Gregory Peck in To Kill a Mockingbird. Is that what that's supposed to look like? We'll maybe dive into that one. So there we have it. I will share this exact link to this exact search in the description of this video if you want to go hunt down sweaters and you want it to be easy so you don't have to do all of that stuff that I just did there. Okay. Oh, and you see right up here where it says sort hot right now, you could change that to best match here. It might change those results a little bit, but it just gives you a better match. Okay, you're going to see a lot of the same stuff. It just kind of ranks them a little bit differently. This sweater, it's interesting. This sweater is popping up as a top one here, and it's shown here on the designer. And that's interesting to me. There's no man present there. It says that this is a sweater down here. It has been tagged as adult male. But there is no man in any of these photos. No masculine form. No male is present here. It's a gorgeous sweater though. All right. And we're moving down. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just kind of go through here and be guided by what sticks out to me in terms of sweaters for men. And ideally, these will be shown on a masculine form. We're going to go ahead and start with this cashmere waffle sweater because it's drawing my attention. I think it's a nice texture. Okay, so some of the things that we were talking about when we were looking at the other website are the sleeve length. I actually wrote these down. Sleeves, torso length, the ribbing. Is the ribbing too shallow? Is it too wide? Just consistent fit, all of these kinds of things. I want to take a look at what we've got here. This is a €10 pattern. It's a nice looking sweater. I love it. I love a hand knit sweater that's got these folded collars like the polo collar. I think that's just magic to me. What a nice looking sweater. Yeah, that's a good look. Look where the shoulder seam hits. See where it hits right here? I think that's classy looking, where it hits right at the edge of the shoulder, right here. Not too far in where you've got the rounding of the shoulder coming out. It kind of helps to create shape around that rounding of the shoulder. A nice looking polo collar. I think it might need to be a little longer to help double over. Maybe this dipped down too much in the back. Maybe this should have been a little higher up in the back. So that way there's not as much work for the collar to do to fold in here. That's just my preference. I think it's not intended to lay down super flat, but I think it would have looked nice if it did have a little bit more depth back there. Sleeve length is good. I was going to say this one looks a little short, but it's pulled up right here. But the sleeve length looks good. I would say here when I look at this, I feel like the sweater body itself is a little bit short. It should hit below the belt line. But he might be, because he's holding his hands in his pockets. His pants might just kind of be shoved down a little bit, because when we look over here, yes. Okay. So when we look over here, you can see it kind of tucked into his belt here. And if he were to untuck that, it would hit below the belt line. It might have just been the way his pants were sitting. It's a nice looking sweater. Yeah, I like that. The Cashmere Waffle Polo by Sasha Knits. Nice looking sweater. Cool. All right, let's go see what else we can find. This one here is nice. Let's look at this. This is the Katir Karlar. Katir Karlar. I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce this. This is an Icelandic sweater. It's like a lopapeysa sweater. It doesn't give me a whole lot of information, but we're not going to dive too much into all of that stuff. We're just taking a look at the pictures here to see what kinds of sweaters are out there. If you want to do a deep dive on the pattern page, you got to really check out that Patreon video. This is a beautiful sweater. Oh my Lord. Such a nice looking sweater. Now look here, you can see that the sleeve hits right there at the hinge, almost to the point where if it were any shorter, it would be too short, but it cinches in nice and snug around the hand there, which it just makes sense for it to hit right there. If it were to hit any lower, it might be too tight. Also, even though it's quite dark, you can see from this single photo that it does come in right here around mid-hip. The ribbing is pretty shallow. There's not a whole lot of ribbing going on here. So you do get a little bit of a curl happening, and that may or may not be to your preference, but it does hit at a nice spot. Very traditional style of lopapeysa sweater. I think that's fantastic looking. The way it moves around the shoulders, I think that's really great. I think the shoulders are really important when you're making a sweater or buying a sweater to fit a masculine body. The shoulders tend to be more broad up top, and I think that this does a really nice job moving over the shoulders. A circular yoke on a man, I think, if it's too tight, can look really strained and stressed, but this one fits really beautifully here because it doesn't feel too tight. There's not any stretching going on here. It just kind of sits really nicely over the shoulders. That's pleasant. I like that one a lot. All right, let's see what else we have here. I want to know about this neighborly cardigan because it looks like, I mean, I'm assuming it's maybe a Mr. Rogers reference, but this model looks like he's dressed to look like Gregory Peck from To Kill a Mockingbird. I mean, it's interesting. Very cute. Yeah, this is just a great looking sweater. It hits right where a sweater like this, a cardigan like this would hit. This is not kind of your oversized long cardigan. This is very much like it kind of has like an academic look, like a professor's cardigan. It sits where almost a normal crewneck sweater would sit, right? It's just serving a different purpose in terms of being a layering piece that you can unzip. I think this is classic looking. I love that. Great one. Actually, I'm going to pop that into my favorites. Pop that into my menswear. Okay, moving down. I will share the bundle that I've created. The Form and Fit tree trunk cardigan. I talk about that in the Patreon video. I'm sorry, I keep referencing that video because it's super juicy and meaty, and I encourage you to go check it out. Yeah, it's a great video. This is nice looking. We're doing lots of cardigans. We'll do pullovers after this. Okay, we have the Cambridge jacket by Ann Budd. This looks fantastic. Very masculine style cardigan jacket. I love the ribbing over the shoulders. That kind of contrasts with the ribbing of the collar here. We have some ribbing down the side happening as well. You can see that more right here. Wow, what a classy look. What's going on with these sleeves? It says a single crochet edging around the bottom edge of the body and sleeves prevents the stockinette stitch edge from rolling, and a zipper up the center front gives the sweater a clean finish. How cool! A single crochet edging around the bottom edge. That's what's going on there, is single crochet edging around the bottom edge, and the stockinette doesn't roll up. That's really cool. Really cool if you don't want that classic ribbed cuff, you want something different. I think that's cool. It also allows this really lovely ribbing detail to shine because it's not competing with the ribbing of the edge of the sweater or of the cuff. That's really cool. What a great looking pattern. So classy looking right here. you know, you see that he's wearing a watch. I think that's an interesting choice and it's important. Men don't wear watches much anymore, and that's a shame because I think people just don't. People don't, unless they're wearing some kind of an Apple Watch or like a, you know, like a Fitbit or something. But nobody just wears. I say nobody. You just don't see an analog watch anymore, and I think it's a shame. I have one. I don't wear as much as I should, so here I am. But I think it's just such a nice looking piece of jewelry, I guess. And when you see him wearing it here, or any person, it makes you realize you don't want the sweater sleeves to be too long, but you also don't want them to be short because you want it to be like something you have to pull up to look at your watch. Not just always over your watch, but just like you pull it up, look at your watch. I don't know. Maybe I'm too idealistic about these sorts of things. Let's keep going. Let's go to the next page. All right, let's find a cool pullover that catches the eye. There's a few things catching my eye here. Let's keep going. Oh my gosh, there's lots of good sweaters. This one was catching my eye. Oh, we don't have a lot of pictures here. Cleva sweater for men by Sennisgarn. There's not a lot of good pictures. I don't like it when the only picture present shows the sleeves rolled up. I mean, I can tell by looking at this that the sleeves would be the appropriate length, but the sleeves are rolled up here, so you can't really get a good idea of that. But granted, it is a really nice sweater. I don't know. I just can't get a good idea of what's going on here. I'm going to keep going. Let's find one that maybe gives us a little bit more to work with. What's this guy doing? Ask sweater. Ask sweater by Steen Holgard Johansson. Let's see. Shawl neck is really classy. It gives V-neck vibes, it gives collared vibes, and I just think it looks great. This guy has very sloping shoulders, and I think it's very flattering on a sloped shoulder like this, especially with these shoulder seams that you see. I can't really get in, like here. These raglan seams that are running down this way. What a cool look on his like more sloping shoulders. One thing I really love about this is the designer was very much like, I need you to just stand about face so we can see the sweater at work. This sweater it's showing you the quality of this design because this man is just standing. Okay, he's just standing and you can see it hits at the perfect spot on the hands. It hits at the perfect spot on the waist. Yes, we're getting a little bit of that ballooning here, but that is just part of a sweater and I don't believe that's a flaw. Not with the amount of ease that is built into the sweater. That is to be expected and the whole sweater looks great. You can see the way the shoulder hits. Everything's positioned properly. We get a nice side view here. He's not doing anything editorial or fancy. He's just standing there and we can see how everything sits. And then now we're getting a close up. The seam looks great. Love the shawl collar. I made that comment in the previous photo about how I felt like the collar should fold more over the available ribbing. And you can see here that that kind of isn't really a thing because in this particular case, the ribbing is intentionally deep and it's only supposed to fold over the first like third. Okay. Or first and first 2/3, I guess you could say, of the shawl collar, and it works. So I guess the same would go for that other sweater, whatever. That I guess I just, maybe my preference on that other sweater felt like it just wasn't executed as well as this one was. But that just looks right. It just looks like it fits and sits right. But then I see it from the back though, and I guess I feel the same. I wish that the doubled over went further down. But I think that's just a preference thing. I don't think that that's a construction thing. I don't know. You can let me know what you think. Like, I just feel like that should sit up a little higher. But other than that, this really fits beautifully. And I appreciate how the person shows the much more structured and, form and fit photos before showing anything more editorial in nature. This, for example, is a very editorial, right? Like, nobody's really going to get an idea about anything here. This is just a nondescript sweater on a hanger on the wall of a barn, okay? But all of the really usable, functional photos that tell you what you need to know, those are all up front, and I appreciate that. What a gorgeous sweater. What is the weight of this yarn? Worsted. It's a worsted sweater. I really like this. That would look fantastic on a woman as well. Obviously, it's just such a gorgeous sweater. Oof. All right. Things that lots of things catch my eye. I'm just trying to find things that might offer a little bit further conversation about something else. Oh, let's go here. I know it's another cardigan, but let's just go there. All right, this is the StrayMoy by Todd Gawkin. This is considered a jacket. Things to say about this. The style is very interesting to me. It definitely gives jacket vibes, and I think that's because the button band, or, you know, the placket, whatever you want to call this, and the collar sits proud of the cardigan. It's real thick. So it gives it more of like a structured, almost like military jacket look, if you will, even though obviously that's not what's happening here. Really interesting styling. I wish the sleeves were just a touch longer. I can't tell if those are rolled. No, those aren't rolled. I wish they were just a touch longer. In fact, if you look here, you're seeing too much of the wrist. Like right here, it's pulling up too much. It needs to be longer. It looks like it's too small, in my opinion. If you look at him here from the side, he doesn't have to pull his sleeve up to look at his watch. His sleeve doesn't surpass his watch. I think that's a faux pas. I don't know. I think that's a fit issue. Your mileage may vary. I think that's a fit issue. I think that the sleeve should be longer here. I think if they were longer, it would look a lot better. Let's see it here on a woman. This is beautiful. Yeah, it fits nicely on her. She's got it fully buttoned. Definitely gives off coat vibes. The sleeves are longer on her. I wonder if that's the same sweater. Here we see it back on a man again. Lovely stitch pattern. Really beautiful. I prefer it on him than I do on her. But it's beautiful nonetheless. It's a piece of art. Yeah, I just wish those sleeves were just a touch longer. I feel like the button band pulls. You can see this like woo, 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 woo thing happening here because the fabric's pulling around the buttons and around his body. If it were to fit him a little bit more with more ease, we would hopefully get a flatter and less kind of wiggly button band. So I think that's a fit issue. If we had maybe a smaller model, maybe it would fit better. I'm not really sure. So I feel like the sleeves here are a little short. I feel like the button band is a little wavy. It hits nicely on the mid hip. I think it's a beautiful piece of art. I really do. However, it's not my preference for sweaters for a man. I want to look at this one. This is a very Eagle Island cardigan by Megan Babin. This one, I mean, this is a very masculine vibe happening here. This guy's wearing 25 shirts underneath that sweater. This is definitely a layering piece of outerwear. This is that final topper that you're going to wear to seal in the warmth. He's clearly got a lot of ease here on his body because he's got 78 shirts on underneath it. So he's got to have the room for it. It looks like he's wearing like a denim jacket underneath that thing. Like, what is going on? And then he's zipping it up. Obviously he took off the denim jacket for this one, which is probably for the best. The sleeves, nice length. They're a little rolled up right here. So if he were to lengthen them down, they would be a nice length. It's like a hockey jumper. I haven't even looked at the description yet, but yeah, this is intended to be kind of like an outerwear piece. It's fantastic. What a cool design. Very traditional motif happening here. I love this. Oof, I really like this. This is beautifully done. Let's see what she says about this. Sporty unisex cardigan is designed for winter fun. Whether you're reading by the fire or skating on a frozen lake, the Eagle Island cardigan is up to the task. The cardigan is worked from the bottom up in one piece and features stranded colorwork and intarsia. Cool. Yeah, I think this is great looking. Hits right there at mid-hip. Obviously, the sleeves are long enough. You can definitely see how much ease is meant to be built into this because it is supposed to be layered over 79 shirts. I think it looks awesome. Great sweater. I would keep that one in my favorites. This is why doing this like randomly is so much easier because I feel like I'm not having to drive with my preferences only. Cardigans intrigue me. I love a cardigan. What's this? Okay. This is 210, 211, 53 cabled pullover by Pierrot. Okay. We don't get a lot of images here, but we're getting something to work with. Great looking construction. I'm wondering here. Yeah, okay. So you see his shoulder seam. Here's his shoulder, and then we drop off the edge. once we drop off the edge of the shoulder, if the seam is happening below the drop off, we call it a drop shoulder. However, there are some designs that are still referred to as set-in sleeves, even when it drops off the slope of the shoulder. And I'm always kind of confused as to why they're not designated as both, at least, because this is very clearly a drop shoulder. It drops off the slope of the shoulder, meaning that that rounded shoulder is intact. It's not broken up with a seam that would otherwise be like right here. Okay, so we have a drop shoulder here with these cables running up the front of the sweater and then the one running down here. I like this neckline. It's kind of like a high and tight neckline, almost. I would say it's like a, what do we call this? Like a mock turtleneck, maybe. But it sits nice and high up on his neck and it looks really good there. Nice deep ribbing. The sleeves here do not have ribbed cuffs. They just carry this cable texture all the way down and then it's bound off here. It gives it a little bit of a flared out edge that almost looks a little rough, like a rough edge, which is a cool design choice. It's long. It sits just above the knuckles. And I think also that kind of goes with the overall vibe of the sweater. I almost think I would have preferred it if we had a similar cuff down here to the collar. I think it would look better in that regard, but that's a style preference, okay? It definitely is long enough in the body because it can be tucked behind the belt. If it were pulled out in front of the belt, it would sit right here, which is nice. But again, I think this sweater would look way, in my opinion, would look nicer if we didn't have this raw looking edge on the bottom, but that is a style thing here. That's the style of this sweater. That's all. But it definitely would dictate the longevity and wearability of this sweater. I think that it immediately becomes less wearable and less staple because of the raw edge that you see. Not raw, but you know what I mean. Without that finished ribbing, it kind of becomes less staple. If you were to take this ribbing and have it down here and here, immediate wardrobe staple, upgrade, in my opinion. Nice looking sweater though. This is available for free. It's a free sweater. So how much, you really can't complain too much, right? This guy added ribbing. He didn't do it on the sleeves but he added it down here. I'm not going to criticize, I'm not going to critique a person's knitting project. Okay, what's this one? Look at that texture. What is that texture? Come on, zoom. Wow. That's a Thanksgiving pullover if I've ever seen one. I love the shape of this and I really love the texture. I also like the colors too. You could have fun with colors there to make it more or less, more wearable, maybe more festive. What a cool looking sweater. Great sleeve length, great ribbing depth happening here, hitting him right where it needs to hit him. The ribbing isn't so tight that it's creating a ballooning of the body right here. Everything fits on this guy's body really well. It looks like it's slightly dropped, although I bet you this is designated as a set-in sleeve. Modified drop sleeve. Maybe that's what it is that I'm seeing there, is like I don't know. I know that some people or some designers will call this a set-in sleeve, but it does drop over the edge of his shoulder. But this fits him really nicely. This neckline, I wish you could get... Okay, I want to talk about this for a second. This neckline right here sits up nice and high on his neck, but it's not too high that it's a mock turtleneck, but it's high enough that if he wears it over an undershirt, you're only getting a peek at the undershirt beneath. That's the way it should be. You shouldn't see the entire collar and then some of the yoke of the undershirt. You should just see a peek of the edge of the collar of the undershirt. That's just my thoughts on how that should be worn. And this hits him in that perfect spot. It really does. Right here, you're getting a lot of the undershirt happening. So it's a very wide neckline, but definitely up here, it's sitting a little higher up. You only get a little peek of the undershirt, and I really like that. This is actually a really nice pullover. I don't know where you find the actual pattern for that particular one. I'm kind of curious. Geez Louise, I can't. Here it is. I'm kind of curious what happens. Oh, no. I'm sorry. I was remembering a different pattern. So you can actually go and purchase this for $7.99. Where did that just go? Here. Yeah, you can purchase this sweater right here on Interweave That's great looking. Great looking sweater. I love that. All right. So there you have it. Just a little deep dive. Not really. It's actually not quite as deep of a dive, but just a little look and some window shopping of men's sweaters and talking a little bit about, the form and fit. But it's really important for the sake of people looking for sweaters and being able to find something on a body that they can relate to and that can give them a really good impression of how that sweater is going to fit them. They really need to be able to easily find that, okay? And it's way easier on Ravelry to find that if you live in a woman's body, if you have a woman's body, for the feminine form, right? Because you just see that featured so much more prevalent. It's more prevalent. But hopefully this provided you with some insight into, number one, how to narrow it down to find sweaters in this context. And maybe you saw something here today that you kind of want to dive into a little further. This is just my idea of menswear sweaters, fit and form, and my thoughts on that. Again, if you want to go deeper, do some actual rating of some patterns. I have 5 patterns. I'm doing just that. And we're diving in a lot more deeply into the subject over on Ravelry, and I encourage you to check that out. I'm also going to be uploading a video over there where we dive into my husband's sweater collection, not sweaters I've made, but just sweaters he has. He's going to be trying them on, and we're going to be evaluating them for fit and deciding which ones he should keep and which ones he should donate. So it's something that will be coming. It'll be a lot of fun. Head over to Patreon, lots of additional content coming. In the meantime, you guys, thank you for hanging out with me. Happy knitting, happy making, happy whatever it is that you're doing. Take care, be well, and I will see you soon. Bye.